in Civil War? Were you on Captain America's side that freedom is absolute, or were you on Tony's side saying, no, we're fucked up, we've done fucked up things, we need to be reined in? Like acknowledging that you yourself have power, and with power, what's that line again?
Oh, geez, here we go.
Oh, you wanted me to start right away, or were you going to do your whole intro thing?
Anyway, everybody at home, welcome to another episode of Comics Conspiracy, where we talk about everything that nobody else wants to. Also, first thing, before we even talk about anything that doesn't matter, let's talk about something that does. Congratulations, Human Ramp. You're a dad.
Thank you. My balls work.
DNA tests. We need to have DNA tests. All right.
Right? 100%.
Oh, Chris is gone. Anyway.
That's okay. He'll be back or not.
Anyway, so we got Human Ramp here. And like I said, we've had a little bit of a hiatus. Maybe some of you noticed. Probably not. But we were gone for a little while. And
all 13 of you that we love.
We do love you guys. But yeah, Human Ramp was our producer. He was busy being a dad.
That's it. We had a little extra hospital stay because, jaundice and whatnot. But everything is A-okay now. We are back home.
Yep. So once they cleared that up with you, you were okay to come home then?
I was okay to come home. Yeah. They found out it was just cirrhosis of the liver.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's all good though now.
It's all good. Back to the whiskey.
Back to the
whiskey. Didn't learn my lesson.
Just rub a little bit in the gums. It's good for you. All right. We also have camera Chris. I don't know. Are you there, Chris? Okay. He is here technically.
Technically. I mean, we could put him backstage until he comes back.
Sure. All right. Let's talk about some stuff though. Going into it, we were just having some nostalgia, talking about the old Marvel Superheroes role-playing game. If anybody knows what face rip means, then you're on board. Holy cow, he's gone. He said, "I'm out."
Bye-bye.
Yeah. No, he's back. Back in black. All righty. And then we also have camera Chris. Back from the dead.
Camera difficulties.
Yeah.
Everything's messed up today for some reason. Technology is not my friend.
Solar flares. Double check.
Yeah, those things happen. Now it won't focus. Focus. There you go.
It's all voice activated.
Right. Well, we were just going over why we had a slight hiatus was because of the great news of Human Ramp being a dad. And
first time? Probably last time. I'm 40.
Fair enough. So, Chris, anything new in your life?
No. No, I'm boring. I'm excessively boring.
Hey, no news is good news in my book. So, but we do have a very interesting topic today for discussion for everybody at home who doesn't give a damn about.
That is not boring.
Well, we'll put that to the test. All right. But to explain it all is the man who decided it all, and that would be you, Jordan. Human Ramp. What are we talking about today, and why?
You're so much better at this than I am. But today, today we're going to be discussing Professor X and Magneto. And does Professor X really have the moral high ground when it comes to finger waving at Magneto?
No. Great discussion, guys. Let's see you next time.
What is our cutoff point to where we're making these determinations?
Oh, I would like to use House of M.
So
I'll go as far as I can.
The conclusion of House of M is where we're cutting off whether we... Okay. So
I'll go as far as I can with that.
Nothing more recent than House of M. Okay. I'm down with that.
Okay.
Because, right off the hop. I mean, so they both appeared in X-Men 1. We know that, right?
Yep.
They've been frenemies, they've been best friends, they've been enemies, they've been on the same side, they've been on opposite sides. But pretty much Professor X is, no, we need to protect the humans and we can live peacefully. Magneto, in short, is, no, we are Homo superior. We can live above the humans. Is that fair to say? Anybody want to elaborate on that? Feel free.
Magneto goes through phases between isolationist and supremacist, right? So he goes through phases. It depends on what day of the week you catch him, really.
That's true.
A lot of it is like, leave me alone, or nah, let's just take over the world because we're better than humans. So, yeah.
Would you say that's the writer or the character?
I guess it comes down to what they want for him at the time, right? Let's be honest. Like, let's make a story about Magneto and what's he going to be doing this time, right? You know what I mean? So who knows? But my point is I think that Magneto is much more true to his convictions than Xavier ever was. Also, Magneto doesn't hide who he is. He knows he's going to be seen as a villain and he doesn't care. Where Professor X will be willing to do terrible things. He's like, here's the thing. Magneto is an activist and Professor Xavier is a politician. That's what I say.
That's an interesting point. So if you go back to our very first episode, Jordan put the title card right in this corner here. This is where it normally goes. Professor X being a part of the Illuminati, and who do we trust the least, right? I believe, I like that topic name. Very nice. Very, very nice. Mutated Truth. Professor X was, or who do you trust the most out of the Illuminati? Sorry. Professor X is one of our least trusted Illuminati members, was he not?
I think.
Yep.
Well,
the least trusted. Like, people who have tried to take over the world were more trusted than Professor Xavier.
Chris, you look like you have something to say.
No, I'm taking it all in, and I don't disagree.
So, with Professor X, you have the X-Men, and with Magneto, you have the Brotherhood. But
yeah,
the Nation of Domination.
The Nation of Domination. But also with Professor X, you have X-Force, which is a skilled group of mutants designed only for killing. Pretty much, right?
It's a Wetworks team. It's Black Ops. Yeah.
Yeah. For somebody that enthralled in politics, and like you said, you call him a politician, and government, and being the face of mutants, he's got a lot of dark secrets that he would not want the world to know.
Heck, he wouldn't want his own X-Men to know most of them.
That's true.
And when they come out, who pays for it? Always the X-Men.
Yep. Well, can you blame Scott for being so crazy?
Not really.
Right?
But but no matter what Professor X puts them through with his, I don't know, shadow government bullshit, Cyclops generally toes the line, right? Like, he's had his moments where he's like, I've had enough of this, right? Like everybody does. Like, sooner or later, if you're going to have a superhero team, you're going to write, and they go to a certain length. There's going to be reasons why every single member is going to want to leave at some point, right? It's just part of the story process. But Professor X, and how he has twisted the truth, kept secrets, played agendas, and how they just don't just walk on that guy constantly. It's mind-blowing. It's always for the dream, right? It's always the dream that he keeps trying to sell him on. Like,
okay. But he has done some good stuff, right?
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So he
I'm not saying he
has.
hasn't. A politician can actually support like good policies from time to time, but I'm looking at him as a whole.
Do you think it's a more do as I say, not what I do type of character?
Absolutely.
Right?
I'm not saying that Magneto's any different. Magneto's absolutely do as I say, or I'm going to jettison you out into space. But you know what I mean? Like, I think that people know what they're signing on for. Like, you know, when you go to Magneto, what you're signing on for, right? It's not like a
It's not a
what?
surprise.
He doesn't care about my feelings. But with Professor X, man, he comes off as like, you know, like your favorite grandfather or something like that. Like he's trying to play that angle when he's, you know what I mean, also planning assassinations behind the scenes.
Sure. And then go ahead, Chris.
No,
Yeah.
no.
Not
I'm
yet?
I'm listening. I'm taking it all in.
Take it all in.
Yeah.
So we got to talk about the school. Obviously, that's probably the best thing he's ever done. Correct?
You mean the front?
The front.
Yeah. Thank you.
Would you really think it's a front, or is he actually teaching these kids?
I mean, I think. Okay, again, I'm always one to balance the inner story with the creative process, right?
Of course.
I believe that in the realm of where they were going, building the characters of the X-Men, of building each individual ones, especially the breakaway characters that had their own titles like Wolverine and nobody else really. I think that's where it started. And then they, throughout, like a lot of people try and use this, especially the X-Men, and they go, "What are you guys so upset about? They've been putting politics in your creative licensing for decades." Well, yeah, they have, but they did it in a lot more subtle ways or clever ways.
Finessed, yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't like in your face. It wasn't you're going to call somebody that's very clearly a dude, you're going to call them she, her, they, them. It was more of, the claims that the Equal Rights Amendment was being mimicked by way of mutants in the pages of Marvel Comics. So you had things like that. So I think it was they started off trying to make it legit, and they had this realm of storytelling, but then in light of the continuing ongoing political turmoil, social turmoil, they evolved it, and I think they saw opportunities to go, well, and everybody loves an anti-hero, so maybe we, and again, one of the key cornerstones as to why people claim that Marvel was more successful than DC, more popular, more mainstream, is they dealt with real life topics. They dealt with the issues that people could identify with, whereas DC kind of touched on it, but they really shied away from it with a lot of their core characters. Everybody that was successful in DC as a title was some wealthy aristocrat that nobody could really relate to. Your top three: an alien, a billionaire, and a princess.
Yep.
Right? Like that's the DC fucking trinity. And
Magic.
who can't relate to an alien, a billionaire, and a princess? I mean, it's grassroots. So anyways, my point being is that I think they definitely, well, obviously they evolved it. That's a redundant statement. But the reasoning behind their evolving it is, I think, to keep up with the times, to be a reflection of the times, as they always tried to be, and to maybe, and I'm sure we could find evidence to this, put their political opinions out there by way of their characters and their stories.
Yeah, I agree with what Chris said as well. There's this myth, really a lie that's going out, that Magneto and Professor X were designed as, examples of
Martin Luther
King
and Malcolm.
X, and that's not true. It's not true at all. It just so happens, though, that that a lot was going on in society at the time, and it kind of synced up. And so they took the ball and they ran with it, right? Like, then why not? It was relevant, it became relevant, and it sold comic books. So, okay, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So, but I do agree with what everything that Chris said about right there as well. They didn't beat anybody over the head with politics. Like when we first saw North Star, right, in Alpha Flight, he didn't fly up and land and say, "I'm North Star. My pronouns are this, and my sexual orientation is this, and my superpowers are this." They do that now. They do that now in comic books when they're introducing characters.
Well, and North Star, they retroactively made him gay.
Yeah, but they didn't. He didn't
Who
come out like. Yeah, he didn't fly like the first time you see North Star. He didn't land and hands on his hips and go, "I'm North Star. My pronouns are this. My sexual orientation is this. You know what I mean? I like long walks on the beach, and my superpowers happen to be this." That is what they're doing now in comic books. They're beating people over the head with this ideology and this crap. So
that's what made the X-Men so great, is because you have this eternal story of acceptance.
Yes.
Which embodies everything that you need to be a good human, right? I've always said Jim Henson always procured that very well at the same time, whereas everybody was different and they just accepted one another just because they're good to each other. That's the core story of the X-Men, and to change that fundamentally, because as we've seen over the years, what X-Men has not been compromised or turned evil, and maybe this is, going back to our topic, maybe this is Professor X's fault by, if we go into the story-wise, by manipulating these kids for X amount of years, and it gets to them. Well, if Professor X did this, I need to hide my true self from everybody, because Professor X has always hid his true self. He's a front, which is the exact opposite of what the X-Men was about: acceptance.
That's deep.
It is deep.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I have no doubt that there's a lot of psychological trauma throughout the years that the X-Men suffered that Professor X is part of. If not an outright origin of, he is definitely a factor of their turmoil. Also, he is notorious for his disappearing acts. When they need him most, he's gone. Almost, gone. It's ridiculous how that happens. Like, he makes this team, and he's supposed to be the heart and the brain of the team, and then he's never there. So what happens when you don't have a heart and a brain? Well, that's why the X-Men are always running around trying to fucking find their heads, because they're always like chickens with their heads cut.
Dad's got to go to work sometime.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So who is the leader of the Brotherhood?
Me.
It's Magneto.
Magneto. And he's normally on the battlefield with them, right?
Yeah.
Who is the leader of the X-Men?
Professor Xavier.
Is it? Or is it Cyclops?
Well, they're called Xavier's men.
You're not wrong. But they always say that Cyclops is the leader of the X-Men. Well, and Storm is number 2.
And Storm was leader for a good period of time.
Correct.
Yeah. I think they call them field leaders. Like they're in the field.
Yeah, they're generals. Yeah. He is the commander in chief.
So he's more. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
Politician. Yeah.
But he's
the minister of defense.
Right. He's never really on the battlefield, right?
No.
Now he's communicating with them telepathically and whatnot, but he's not.
If they're lucky.
If they're lucky, right? But he's not there in danger. He doesn't even go in the fucking danger room.
No.
Go into this death trap room I designed so you can become better. How about you go in there and become better? If you're so good. How about you walk to me and say that? Sorry.
It's nice. No, I agree with you.
There was that period of time where he was developing his telekinesis and he could walk.
Yes. but I agree with you. Magneto walks the walk, so to speak. Since we're on this whole walking thing, no, Magneto walks the walk. Definitely, he's like, he doesn't expect the Brotherhood to do anything that he isn't going to get in there and do himself. In fact, a lot of times he's like, "Oh, I have to do it myself because you're all garbage." You know what I mean? So yeah.
So here's an analogy for you.
Yeah.
Magneto is Napoleon, whereas Professor X is Winston Churchill.
Yeah, it's very similar.
That is cool. That is cool.
I still think though that Professor X morally doesn't have a lot of ground when it comes to this debate between him and Magneto.
I do want to go back to the school.
Yeah, like it's about means and ends and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, Magneto changes a lot. And even in the time frame we're giving him, his opinions, his outlook, and his methods changed considerably throughout that period of time, even the limited time we have. But Professor X has always been manipulative. Always. Never changed, never hasn't been.
I'm wondering, so I want to go back to the school. I know you called it a farming ground or, a farm system for them. But do you not believe that he provided a safe haven for mutants, for not to use the runaways, but, for the runaways?
If they towed his line, yeah.
Well, has he ever kicked anybody out? Has he ever turned anybody away?
They leave.
They leave.
Leave.
Right.
Because
he creates a toxic work environment and they're forced out.
What am I supposed to say? Even though it's sarcastic and it's true. Like it's my way or the highway. So a lot of people choose the highway. Okay, here's my question. What would it take to get Colossus to leave your team? Think about that for a second.
You fuck with his family.
Like, you have to really, really pull the carpet out on that guy hard. And maybe over and over again for him to really say, you know what? I'm done with this shit.
Stop stocking ingredients for borscht.
Exactly. But that's all I'm trying to say. Like, when you think of one of the most loyal kind of guy, like dumb dog loyal, it's Colossus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like, fuck the X-Men.
Who has done worse to one another? Has Magneto done worse, or has Professor X done worse to Magneto? I mean, Magneto tried to destroy the planet multiple times.
Well, here's the thing. It comes down to don't start none and there won't be none. And so if Magneto's like, I've got the nuclear missiles again. And if Professor X is going to scramble his brains because they get the helmet off his head, then his brains are getting scrambled, right?
Right.
If he hadn't have stolen the nukes, maybe his brains wouldn't be scrambled. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. So Magneto tends to start the fights?
Absolutely.
So maybe Professor X does have a little bit more of a moral high ground there. Right? Because if it's don't start none, if you don't want none. If you take Magneto and the Brotherhood out of this equation, what would Professor X look like?
He'd still be part of the Illuminati.
That's fair. Yeah.
And as soon as somebody's part of the Illuminati, I no longer consider you a hero. You might be an anti-hero at best, but you're not a hero.
Come on. We have said and determined that Namor is the most trusted member of the Illuminati.
I'll have to say it again for old time's sake. And the Fishman gets away.
Yeah, and as much as I've never really liked Namor, that was like the best thing they could have made that character do, and the smartest within the realm of the character. But like just everything about that move I it rings true to me, and what my position would have been if if I were asked to be part of a controlling authoritarian secret society. I'd be like, you guys are fucked. I'm out. And if you come to my house, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Your ass is getting drowned.
Right?
But yeah.
And like he said that essentially. He's like, keep it up here, because if you come to the oceans, you're gonna have a fight like you've never known.
Yep.
And that was again, that was true to the character, but a needed position in the realm of, and like sort of along the lines of what I said before, a melding of things I said before. They, most assuredly, the writers and editors, Stan included, injected their own personal politics into what they allowed to get through as the storytelling of their books. But at the same time, we acknowledge that they did it in subtler ways, which you could argue is more propagandistic. But what I believe is they did it in that way to be able to give the best story, which at the end of the day should always be the point. Because that's what you're producing. You're producing stories. So making them about your politics in general, hardcore, in your face, making the reader decide is never what I would consider good storytelling. It should be more open-ended, and I believe that's what they've done up to a certain time frame, of course. And in doing so, they give you both sides. They give you Magneto and Professor X at odds.
Yeah.
So that, and again, it was more in your face, yet still a reader's choice. Which side did you pick in Civil War? Were you on Captain America's side that freedom is absolute? Or were you on Tony's side saying, no, we're fucked up. We've done fucked up things. We need to be reined in. Like acknowledging that you yourself have power, and with power, what's that line again?
Oh, geez, here we go.
With power
comes great sandwiches. Right. So
comes great regulation.
You make your sandwiches.
That's good.
With the power of I don't know. I lost the joke. But anyways.
But those sandwiches, though.
But yes, they're damn good sandwiches.
We were talking about hero sandwiches.
No,
yes.
I know. Yeah, heroes, as they're called in certain areas like New York. No, they're hoagies in New York.
Hoagies.
Heroes. Where are the heroes? Like more Pittsburgh, right?
Great question.
My point being is even with Civil War, it was still which side do you want? But they gave you the option of going, look, these are the diametrically opposed factions. Where would you fall in on that? And it gives the reader the option, or you can pick neither option and just read it for entertainment, and you don't have to agree with either side.
Right.
And again, that to me is the evolution of things like what they started with Magneto and Professor X. And it's always the good versus evil side, but good and evil have gray areas. So we wouldn't be having this discussion if Professor X was wholly good or Magneto was wholly bad. It's an easy no-brainer. They create these situations where you have characters with flaws or characters with redemption qualities. Like, is Magneto wrong? Because society at large and the governments of the world have been trying to kill mutants. So is he wrong?
Right.
He's sitting there going, look, this is a genocide. And I'm bigger and stronger, so I'm going to stand my ground and say, F you.
Yep.
And is Professor X wrong in times of turmoil and up to our banishing point of what we acknowledge? Was he wrong for wanting to end Wanda Maximoff because she was altering reality for everybody without option, without being asked for consent or anything. And even though the belief was that she was in her mind, she was doing good by giving everyone what they had ever desired, you didn't ask.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing, I think, when it comes to the ego of these two men. Nobody asked, right? Like, a lot of times these guys just take it upon themselves. I'm going to make a teenage team of superpowered mutants, and I'm going to throw them into a meat grinder, and they're going to fight for my ideology, whether, you know what I mean, they can even completely understand it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to also put them in very compromising situations to their own personal codes, their own ethics, their own beliefs, their own faith. It doesn't matter. All that matters is my ego. Is that any different, so to speak, than Magneto saying, you know, and how he tells the Toad to shut up and toe the line all the time or something like that? Like, well, poor Toad. But it's like these men, it's their ego that are driving this whole mutant.
I agree with that 100%.
And that's where the problem really lies. It's not because both of them morally have definite foundations to stand on. It's their methodology because of their egos that's really at question here. And ultimately, for me, like when Magneto wants to be left alone, right? Like when he gets to that stage and he's just like, look, any mutant that wants to come with me, we're out. We're done with this game. We're not playing it anymore. Let the humans do their thing, and any mutants that want to run with them, let them suffer their fate. But all you other guys that want to come with me and get out of this stupid rat trap, come on, let's do it right now. That was the point for me when I was most sympathetic with Magneto. And of course the world couldn't allow that to happen. And of course Professor X was right on board with not allowing that to happen. You know what I mean? Of course he was. He could have let it be, but instead he decided to jump on the political bandwagon, and he also decided to take a direct stance against Magneto again. You know what I mean? And maybe that's out of habit, but I think it's more out of ego. I have to be right. Magneto has to be wrong. Even when Magneto's just saying, leave me the fuck alone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy. Yeah. That's a really good point.
So I don't know. And then when of course they have ultimately kicked the cage. Of course Magneto's going to go like gangbusters, and he does, right? So, you know, the X-Men jump his house. You know what I mean? Effectively to do a house invasion. They fuck his shit up, and he loses it. And why wouldn't he?
So would you say they ultimately try and do the right thing in their warped versions?
Well, I told you morally, they both have strong foundations that they stand on. It's their egos that fuck the whole thing up.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they both want peace for mutants, right?
Now but they want it their way.
But
their way or no way.
I would almost argue that Magneto wants peace for mutants and doesn't give a crap about Homo sapiens. Right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Whereas Professor X preaches that both can be on the same planet and live peacefully. I think that's their big difference.
Not only promotes it, demands it.
Right.
That's where the problem, I think, lies. See, and woe betide anybody who doesn't want to go along with that dream.
But demanding peace between all beings on a planet is that, are we arguing that this is bad?
I don't know. You need to have the freedom to do your thing. Like if Magneto wants to leave and a group of mutants want to go with him, we have no right to try to drag his ass back into our shit show.
Oh, I agree with that. Yeah. Go leave. But demanding peace on planet Earth is a good thing.
Demand part, Jordan. It's the demand part is the problem.
And your idea
dive
of peace,
into that.
your idea of peace is subjective to your opinions. So what's peaceful to you is not necessarily peaceful to your neighbor or your family or a stranger. So
Absolutely.
this is the problem with people's fundamental and we're diverting largely here, but this is the problem with people's fundamental understanding of freedom. Ultimate freedom is your ability to do whatever you want to do, so long as it doesn't affect other people's ability to do exactly what they want to do. So you can an example is you can swing your fist wildly and flail about, but your freedom to do that ends where your fists may contact or come in close enough proximity that a minor error in judgment could make contact with somebody else. And even if that somebody else is choosing to swing their fist wildly. So imagine, you're free to do what you want to do. You're swinging your fists, they're swinging their fists. As long as your swinging does not interfere with the other person, then you're fine. The minute that you get too close and your swinging, whether intentional or not, makes unwanted contact with the other person, that's the end of your freedom that's infringing on their freedoms. So if you think of absolutely everything as property, so all freedom boils down to is property rights. And you, as a human in a body, are your own property as well. So your property rights begin within you. They extend to everything that you've worked, given your time, labor, and energy for, and acquired through those three legitimate means. If you've used your time, energy, and labor to plant seeds, to water the seeds, and to grow them into crops, nobody has the right to come and take those crops from you. Nobody has the right to throw salt over the fence onto the soil where you're growing your crops on the land that you worked for.
Yep. Long story short, don't tread on me. Let's continue. Absolutely.
That's the summation of it.
Yep.
Gadsden flag and all.
Absolutely. So that's where I think we're coming down to is what these men's ego pushed them to do. And originally, Magneto came out of the box hard, right? He came out hard. Out of the gate, he was rolling as a terrorist, right? By the end, he's done. I'm out, right? I don't want any more of this. It's stupid. It's going nowhere. It's cyclical. It is just endless catch-22. I want out, and they won't let him. They won't let him. And Professor X is part of that, right? And now I'm going to let you know, Magneto does pose a worldwide threat, and he always has. Okay, he's that kind of guy, and he likes knowing that he's that kind of guy. But when push comes to shove, he has never actually gone that kind of distance. Professor X has been a threat, actual threat.
Second. Let me interject. Just because you say he's never gone the distance, a terrorist doesn't have to actually drop bombs to actually achieve
to be a terrorist.
What their goals are.
I agree. I said he came out of the gate as a terrorist. All right, he 100%.
But
he did.
I'm just contending against he's never gone the distance. He's threatened. He's threatened world annihilation. He's
many times
enslavement.
Absolutely,
all that kind of stuff. So the threat in and of itself, it's like spanking your kids. You agree with it or you don't, but raising your hand is still as detrimental and effective as the actual spanking of your child.
Okay, my point. You're right, but my point wasn't that. My point is that
I didn't give a thumbs up.
Nice magic. Okay, but my point is that Magneto has the gun, right? He has the gun. He's pointed it at people. He's threatened people many times with the gun. Professor X has pulled the damn trigger.
In what way are you
Onslaught? He has pulled the trigger. He has been that threat to the world. Like, he literally had to be taken down, you know what I mean, multiple times. You guys know this. You guys know the stories. I don't have to go into every single issue, date, and time. We know the stories. Professor X has been the actual threat. Like, he's not a threat anymore. He's actively doing it. So,
but wait a minute.
Yeah.
So I go on a murderous rampage. Okay.
Are you announcing it?
I'm about to.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go run down the streets and,
Well, don't worry.
Only kill a lot of people.
Jordan, don't worry. Only 13 people are only going to see this, so you're good to go. Go.
Right? You two go on the streets and you beat me up and I run away. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I just want to be left alone. But I haven't paid for what I've done.
Now, hold on. But on top of that, hold on, Jordan. You're right. You're right. I get it. But here's the thing. On top of that, I tell everybody I stopped Jordan and I stomped him into the curb because he was such a terrible threat, and you all know it. And then I go and burn down your buildings anyway. Me, not Jordan.
Oh, you then go become the threat yourself, is what you're saying.
More than the threat. I actually follow through. And on top of that, after all that, I say, oh, it was a big mistake. I had an aneurysm. You know what I mean? I forgot to take Tylenol that day or whatever it might have been. Then I go and join a cabal to rule the world.
Comics Conspiracy does not endorse the use of Tylenol.
All right. But you see where I'm going now. Okay.
I do.
Now, do you see my point?
Yeah. And you're talking.
Okay, here. Let's get right to the nitty gritty then. Does Professor X pose a greater threat to the world than Magneto? Yes or no?
No.
You're crazy, Cerebro. You're drunk. You are drunk. You need to read comic books. Go on.
He doesn't.
Okay, sure. Guy can control the minds of just about everybody on the planet. He ain't no threat.
Cerebro, the tool, is the threat. I think there could be other people.
That's a vacuous argument. That's like saying the gun is the threat. The gun is only as threatening as the hand that it's in.
Not only that, Chris,
right? Okay,
who made the gun? Who made the gun?
It doesn't matter who made the gun. Has he ever done it?
Has he ever used Cerebro for his own ends?
He uses it to track people without their say so. So it's like the silly Christopher Nolan Batman movies. Like, we're supposed to feel okay that Batman used every cell phone to geolocate, but because it was for the greater good. The greater good.
That's why it's not a good. That's why it's not a good Batman movie. I said it. Dark Knight is not a good Batman movie.
Look, none of the Nolan movies are great movies. Mm-mm. Look, we're just three guys on a shitty podcast, but Nolan is an overrated director, just like the majority of them. Scorsese sucks. Fight me.
Okay, let's go.
I think we just found our cold open.
Anyway, nice. But no. Do you guys agree, though? Not only did Professor X have Cerebro, he made Cerebro, and he uses Cerebro.
Listen,
right?
I've never, to be fair, I've never really given it a lot of thought. But what you're saying makes total sense, and whether it's because I'm more aware of it now because of certain things going on, WEF, and the fact that people are actively trying to track us by any means necessary, the WHO, and they even want to implant things into our bodies either through injections or through mandates that they are passing worldwide in governments. They've done like a weird switcheroo on people going, hey, we're going to take control over the whole planet and you have no say so if you don't if your government, your elected government doesn't reply, then we're at ultimate control to say what happens if there's ever another pandemic. But this is the problem. If you give someone control in an emergency, they will create emergencies to have more control.
Yep.
So I've never considered it, but in light of all these garbage things that garbage people are doing to our planet and to our people, I looking at this, is this, again, do we go back to, is this merely art, foreshadowing reality or commenting on reality? Or is this a warning? Is this people in the know that already see the inner workings of these elites? I'm air quoting a lot. There should be like a devil that pops up when you air quote.
Nice. You're right.
So either way, is it because shitheads like this have always existed that are authoritarians and try and take over as much as they can, and now we're just seeing it because we're in this global environment, we have global communication capabilities, if you believe there's a globe? Or do we so it's just perpetuating that which has always been, or is it people that have seen certain things and they're trying to get the word out?
I think that, okay, we're way off topic, not off topic, but we're off topic. But
yeah, I get it.
But the thing is somebody who puts their total faith in whatever system rules them doesn't know history. That's the bottom line. But my question still remains. Jordan answered it. Who's the greater threat, Magneto or Professor X?
Professor X.
Absolutely.
Because here's my reasoning why.
Yep.
Magneto is an imminent physical threat. Professor X is the bigger authoritarian threat. Mm-hmm. For the reasons that he has the ability to... I'm moving my thumb so I don't give a thumbs up while I'm commenting. He has the ability to invade people's thoughts, though he claims he doesn't. But then he repeatedly does. With the help of Cerebro, he has tracking capabilities of not only mutants, of any living person on the planet. And who knows, crank that up to 11 and he could go off planet with his tracking capabilities. So Stop giving me it's a thumb sideways. It's a thumb I'm hitchhiking.
Just Bill Clinton it.
But also keep in mind...
That's why he does it.
Also keep in mind, Professor X can use his mental abilities through Cerebro as well.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
it's not just tracking.
It's not no, but that's
tracking.
That's predominantly what he uses it for. But
yes.
You're right. It could be used to
mind control.
Yeah, I was going to say it could be used to telegram his powers.
Yes.
And reach a broader audience, right? So broadcast is the word.
And when you're part of an Illuminati and you have that kind of access, come on now.
And that kind of sensibility.
Yep. Ego. That ego.
You know, him, Reed, and Tony all believe themselves superior. Yep. So they're making decisions for you and for everybody. And that's never a good thing.
No,
right. Whereas Magneto, being the larger, imminently physical threat, is far less of a threat because let's try an analogy. If there's a big dude who comes up to you and wants to start a fight, give me your lunch money, whatever, right? He's trying to pick a fight with you. Is he the bigger threat? Or is the guy that got into political office and is making laws that say it's okay for people to steal your lunch money? Who's the bigger threat?
Right? Exactly. Or the guy who's goading the bully to go after you. Mm-hmm. You should do that. You should go after his money. Look at that loser over there. Take his money. Who's the bigger threat? You're absolutely right.
He's got more money than you anyways. Look at him with his new shoes.
Jordan, Jordan, how can you not see that Professor X is the bigger threat?
I don't know. Asteroid M.
Yeah.
Period.
That the X-Men destroyed? Yep.
Oh, but okay. So all we have to do is destroy Cerebro, and that's it?
No, absolutely not. But what does Asteroid M threaten itself, in and of itself?
What did it threaten?
In and of itself. When Magneto said, I'm out, any mutant that wants to be out with me, we're going to Asteroid M. That's it.
I'm pretty sure he used it to destroy all of Earth's technology as a giant EMP.
I don't remember that. I don't remember all of Earth's technology being destroyed because Iron Man was still legit.
In Fatal Attractions.
Okay.
I saw that.
What year was that?
I don't think that happened.
That looks like from the artwork, we're looking at 70s, 80s.
Okay.
Fatal Attraction become a bookmark event that opened the door to a number of possibilities that expanded the X-Men mythos, not only revolutionizing the fan favorite Wolverine, but the story would also predict Professor Xavier in an exoskeleton battlesuit that elevated him from his wheelchair constraints. Nonetheless, it would be remiss not to include Magneto's planet-wide EMP. A feat today is deemed as one of his greatest displays of power, though a prerequisite to counterattack the story, blow it up, blah, 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 blah.
When was this?
I will look it up, but it's older.
I admit I've never read that.
I have, man, you're going to have to tell me because I'm going to have to check my books on that one.
X-Men. Because I was trying to find some more stuff.
I'm not saying that. Hold on. I'm not saying that Magneto is that.
Sorry?
That's the physical threat that Chris is talking about, right?
This is 1993.
90. Oh, okay.
1993.
All right.
That was when I was collecting. Maybe I actually have it and I just never read it.
Yeah. That was right around the time when I was getting out. So, but okay. I'm not saying that Magneto isn't that big of a threat, though, right? I'm not saying that it.
Do you have cover art at all?
Let me find it for you. Yeah.
1 minute, Hound.
Almost there. Okay. So what happened? It looks like X-Force is heavily involved in this.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise. Let me go to marvel.com.
Let me guess. I bet you it goes something like this, Chris. X-Force gets sent in to assassinate Magneto. They fuck it up, and Magneto retaliates. I'm pretty sure it's probably going to go that way.
Yeah, sounds about right. I have that.
You have that?
I have it. I have multiple copies of that.
Hold on, is that Jim Lee?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it had a hologram on the cover, if I'm not mistaken. Where that open part is on the top of that, right there, there's a hologram card glued to the front of the cover.
That makes sense.
Is that where Magneto takes the adamantium out of Wolverine?
I bet you.
Is this the issue? Like,
I bet
this
you
is
it
the
is.
storyline?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the first time we find out he's got bone claws, right?
Yeah.
Then his...
Okay. So, yeah. But that is absolutely the physical threat that we're talking about that Magneto presents. I never said he wasn't a worldwide threat. He is. He's definitely a worldwide threat. But I still said who's the greater threat.
Well, he doesn't have to agree with us. I mean...
No, he doesn't.
Hey, if we were
it's
all going...
not to, but I mean...
If you just want to sit around and hold each other's, dicks and sing Kumbaya all
just
the time.
trying to understand your reasoning behind your choice.
Someone's got to challenge your guys' beliefs. Otherwise, you'd just be, again, enjoying each other's company Maybe one's upside down, one's right side up, and
I just don't know why you keep having these fantasies about me and Chris. I
Oh,
don't
they're
understand
not-
it,
no.
Jordan. Okay. I don't understand it, but whatever. All right. So we're at an impasse then.
No,
pretty
we're
much.
not at an impasse. We're having a discussion.
Well,
I would like to know the tiebreaker, because my vote's worth 2, and you guys are worth half a point. Actually, that wouldn't be a tiebreaker. I've won.
Why is that? Because of your child is?
No, because of millennial math. You're Gen Xers, we're millennial, right? So my opinion is more valid than yours.
I'm sorry we failed you. Continue on.
Can you do better? Can you do better?
Okay, here's the qualifier. Are you Latinx?
I prefer not to disclose my my history. Sorry.
Then we can't proceed.
Anyway, it's okay that we don't all agree, like Chris said. I absolutely agree with that statement as well. But
you don't have to agree with that.
As a child of the 90s, I grew up with the X-Men cartoon and always saw Xavier as a hero. Right? In the cartoon, he is predicted as a pretty good hero as well.
Child in the 90s.
I was born in 84.
At what point do you consider yourself not a child?
Are
you Jewish?
So 13 years? What do you consider a child?
If you're Jewish, they consider you an
well, you
adult
have
at
baby,
13.
Child. When is childhood stop for you?
13.
13, yeah. So 84 plus 10 puts me to 94. Add another 3, that's 97.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Millennial math works again.
Yeah, you forgot to carry the pronoun.
Okay, but the X-Men cartoon gave me a very strong view as Professor X as a hero.
Sure.
We didn't get to see a lot of the evil stuff that he did until you dive into the comics, right? I can't even say evil. Evil is not the right word, but I guess if it's not good, it's evil. Is that the black and white we want to go with?
All right. Now I understand why look, man. I understand why your opinion is skewed that way now. Okay, I understand, especially with that type of cartoon. Okay, propaganda cartoon. But the name of our channel, everything is Comics Conspiracy, not X-Men '97 Conspiracy. So Comics Conspiracy
That's
and
not
the comic books say. The comics, yeah, exactly. The comics say that Professor X is a son of a bitch, and that's just the way it is. They tried to kill his own sister in the womb. Fuck him.
100%. 100%.
Fuck him. I'm done arguing about this. If you don't think that Professor X is questionable at best and an outright villain at worst, we're never going to agree. Who doesn't know that, man? What an earworm. What an earworm that is.
I know.
Wasn't it Joe, what's his name from Aerosmith that did that?
Oh, yeah? I actually don't know that. Jamie, can you look that up for us, Jamie? Or is he working with Rogan today? Is Jamie not with us?
I'm pretty sure it was. Why can't I think of his name? Joe.
Was that? I want composer, not writer. Ron Wasserman. Wasser. Wasserman. Ron Wasserman composed that song. He also did Go Go Power Rangers for the Mighty Morphin Power.
Performed it. I'm talking about the guitar work in the song. I think it was Joe Perry.
Nice.
Performance.
So, let's get some closing statements then, because I think we were going to be able to talk this one in circles.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It's a good topic. It's up there with Civil War.
My closing statement is Jordan doesn't know what he's talking about yet again.
No,
Fair.
so
and Thor should have never been a comic book.
All right. Well, you see, Chris, we were almost there. Go on.
Yeah, I can't let it go.
Closing statement. You guys are scared.
Whoa. I was looking down. I didn't see it.
It's okay, Rev. Let him have his moment.
Joe Perry. I'm looking up.
Oh, there you are.
You brought me back. Look at that. I guess I'm the new Dave. You guys are scared of Cerebral. You're scared of the gun, not the user, right? Because
no,
you weren't scared of
Asteroid M. That's not it at all. You're now making assumptions. You didn't listen to the argument.
I did listen to the argument because that was your argument for Asteroid M. Right?
What?
The X-Men blew it up, so it wasn't a threat, right? So closing statements is you guys are jaded. Again. Professor X created one of the greatest...
That's the first right thing you've actually said all day.
Thank you. Thank you. He created one of the greatest teams in comic book history. Okay?
Yep.
They have done a lot of good under his guidance and rule. Whereas Magneto is a legit terrorist. If you want to side with terrorists, you're more than welcome to. Well, is Magneto a terrorist? Yes or no?
Yes.
Real quick.
I called him that. You really haven't listened to anything I said.
I have. We're closing statements, right?
Go on.
So you want to side with terrorists? You're more than welcome to. That's my closing statement.
Okay. My closing statement is if you don't know that Professor X is questionable at best and an outright villain at worst, you haven't read enough comics yet. Read some more. Find out for yourself. Don't trust Jordan. Trust your own eyes. See it for yourself. All right? A gun is always a threat. That's its purpose. Cerebro is always going to be a threat. That's its purpose. Perhaps Asteroid M would always be a threat because that was its purpose. I don't know. Regardless is I don't think that it's the person behind Cerebro. It's the ego behind Cerebral that is the real threat. You see what I'm saying? That's the real threat. The ego behind Cerebral. For somebody to even design something like that, to even conceive of it, that's an issue right there. So, where Magneto made Asteroid M originally as a supervillain lair, but ultimately to use it as a safe haven. That says something as well. There it is.
Ultimately as a superhero or supervillain lair. But no, that's what you said.
I said he originally... No, it's not what I said. It's absolutely not what I said. I said originally it was designed as a supervillain lair, and ultimately its purpose became a safe haven. That's what it was. So, and if you don't believe that, I'm just going to say read more comic books. Find out for yourself. As
opposed to Professor X's school that started off as a way to have a home and safe haven for wayward, discarded mutants, essentially categorizing them like... cast aside gay teens might have been of the time by their families, right? Put out, you can't live in my house, you're gone. So it started off as that to help them have a place to be and train them how to use their powers. And instead it became a military training academy for people with unbelievably weird and special powers.
That is true. And I don't know. Perhaps ultimately Magneto would have turned around and utilized Asteroid M exactly as that, as some kind of indoctrination center. I don't know. But at the time, as it was, he didn't care what their beliefs were. The only criteria is that you didn't want to be part of that problem anymore. And if you wanted to get out of that cycle of violence and persecution and retribution, endless cycle, come to Asteroid M and get away from it. That was now it didn't exist long enough. As long as the School for Gifted Children, it didn't last that long, and perhaps you would have seen a different side had it, right? Maybe, I don't know, but I can only go off of what we did see, and that's what we saw. So people got scared. The X-Men got sent in.
The most shocking part for me is that I have the book that Jordan brought up, and I didn't even realize I probably never read it. I think I have like 3 or 4 copies of it too.
Amazing. I do believe it's where Wolverine gets his adamantium removed, though.
You should read it and let us know what happens.
Either that, or I read it, and that's part of the brain I lost when I had my stroke.
Wow! Yikes!
I told you to stop watching CNN, but you didn't listen.
I've never watched CNN.
He forgot about it. It was part of that brain.
Yeah. Again, I'll tell you again, so you don't do it again.
All right, guys. We want to know what you all think out there in the internet. What do you guys, in the worldwide internets, what do you guys think about this? Do you think that perhaps Professor X is more of a threat than anybody can even really guess? Or is it just face value? Is he the side of mutant peace and a dream of coexistence, where Magneto is the terrorist that will seek to always undermine that and destroy it? What do you guys think at home?
And
let us know.
If you do think that, do you think Klaus Schwab has your best intentions at heart?
You will eat the bugs and you will be happy. All right. Nonetheless, Jordan, you got any parting words?
No, happy Father. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you again. Like, comment, share, subscribe, put on that notification bell.
Comment how Jordan's wrong.
You can, or you could say how they're old and irrelevant.
Why are you proud of being a millennial? It makes no sense.
I don't really have a choice. Like, I got to be proud of who I am.
You can be something and not be proud of it.
Literally what Professor X taught me. Okay?
I was going to say I reject all categories, so I don't consider myself Gen X. I don't consider myself any of their stupid monikers.
Like a male.
Yeah, what the fuck is that even?
Yeah.
You going to put a stamp on me and throw me in a box?
And what are your pronouns?
Oh, boy.
I can't even say it.
Can you get there?
No, I can't. I've cursed enough already.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. But we absolutely want to know what you guys think. For the 12 of you that are watching, please let us know. And
let's get to 15.
Let's make it 13.
Yeah, there
call
we
it
go.
a day. 13 is a lucky number.
Share, comment, do all of that. If you guys are interested in getting in touch with us, you have the contact information, the bottom ticker there. It's been going for a little while now, and we will continue our conspiracy talks next time on Comics Conspiracy.